Welcome to the Ripples of Perception series. I'm Lisa Hayes.
I'm Iva Nasr.
We're so excited you're here joining us because just as casting a pebble into a pond creates ripples, so do we as we go through life.
Please stay with us through the series as Lisa and myself, in each segment, share a variety of stories, downloads, and experiences that enrich our understanding of perception.
Are you ready to get started?
More than ready. Hello, Lisa.
Hi, Iva.
We shared a beautiful conversation in the segment just prior to this one in our Ripples of Perception series about connections within the body. And I am inviting our listeners to please listen to that conversation if you have that extra half hour or so, because it's not essential to this conversation. However, it will complete the understanding of what we're talking about here and possibly make it a richer conversation for us with you. So in that previous segment, Lisa, you shared about the miracle experience you had in your body when you went to see Dr. Nemi, and how one little realignment in a little tailbone rippled into the structure of your body and who knows what else, which, by the way, that what else is the basis of our continued conversation today. Connections and ripples of connection, not just within our bodies, within our psyches, within our relationships, within our daily life, and who knows what else. There's always another who knows what else into the mystery of our existence. And one thing we highlighted in our previous conversation is that, is it as much a mystery? And are these things really miracles, in that once we invite the normalcy and the possibility of these amazing things happening, they become part of our daily awareness in a more regular way. So, to wrap up our previous conversation about connections within the body, along with your miracle story, I also shared that I had been to see Dr. Name a couple of times in person. And then we also talked about a little bit of that segregation and disconnect that happens within other parts of the healthcare system, where an arm is seen as an arm and not necessarily connected to the leg. And I gave my mother as an example with some shoulder issues that are healing. And I want to pick up from there into this conversation. Is that okay?
Yes.
So my mother also has been to see Dr. Nemi twice, and more than twice, virtually through a Zoom or Skype experience. Why is this important? Because she experienced, and me, just by virtue of sitting next to her during the call, and or just being in the room or just somewhere in the condo, I also experienced ripples of that phenomena of transformation and miracle healing every time that she's online with Dr. Nemi. So another reason I'm sharing this part of the story is a reminder that it's great when we can be in person and when we can have that more intimate connection. However, it's possible, and sometimes maybe even more accessible, with remote healing, with remote communication. So what we experience in connection with him through a computer screen, and how the tingles and the ripples are felt in our physical bodies, is so juicy and delicious and so exciting. Beyond all of that, truly a miracle. That paradigm that he is at the forefront with is the primary doctor in our household, is the primary outreach within our household. And we're celebrating progress along the way, Lisa, in physical healing that undoubtedly begins with energy and from essence into other ripples of emotions, of clearing our psyches, of suggesting spiritual experiences, and so on. So that's a lengthy introduction to where this conversation is going. Do you have anything to add to this?
Yes, Iva, thank you. I was thinking about this remote energy facilitation and why it works. I feel it works because of the interconnectedness between all people on earth, the heart connection. So it knows this energy, knows no limitations within time and space. So, for example, I started to feel Dr. Namie's energy and the perfection of my own wellness before the appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when you're on a remote call, telephone call, or Skype, there is no limitation with energy. So a facilitator knows this, that is practicing in that area, like Dr. Namie, knows that by facilitating someone else's awareness that they can remove the distortion of their own illness or dis-ease and see the perfection of their own being, that does not need to be in person, because the individual like myself is the one that is tapping into the ability to see my own perfection. So it's me as an individual that is remembering the empowerment within myself to be able to do this. And practitioners out there, such as Dr. Namie, are facilitating this and can do so because of what I just said, in person or remotely.
And he is first in line, actually insists that it's not him, and that it's the power and the glory moving within him. And in these remote sessions, let's call them, knowledge and experience with the body and intuition, all of that goes without saying. However, essentially, it's the prayer that is shared that just emanates and radiates, let's say through him, through the screen, into our field of energy on the other side of the screen. I know from myself, not to turn this conversation in too many other directions, I know from myself and the work that I do with friends and clients, that phone readings, most of the time, I actually prefer just audio, not even the visual. There's power to visual connection. However, there's a distraction sometimes with that. So the reason I'm bringing this up is to take away any conditioning that it has to be in a certain way, and that the more removed we are from certain physical material connections, sometimes the more readily available we are to healings and these amazing transformations. So the other thing you mentioned, which is brilliant because it's the essence, our human connection through love. Love is it. I don't know what else to say.
Yes, that heart connection. Love is the most powerful source energy. And any person that can act as a conduit to harness that in a more powerful way, because we all have the ability to do that. And we all are doing that every moment of every day. We're harnessing the love energy source, or however we want to describe it, to benefit ourselves and everything we perceive in our reality. By partnering or collaborating or co-creating with another person through this heart connection, who can also act as the conduit for this love source energy, only amplifies the ability to reveal to us our authentic, perfect self.
And that authentic, perfect connection through ourselves into our world, into our relationships. And I'm paraphrasing myself now. There's a mantra, so to speak, that came to me, I adopted many years ago, and I mention it in the pages of my book, actually, where what helps me for myself and through the work that I do with others and just in my daily coexistence, cohabitating this earth, I put myself in the mindset. It goes something like this: may I see through the eyes of an angel, feel with the heart of the mother, and work with the hands of the wizardess, something to this effect. And it helps me get out of the way, get out of myself, to be in harmony with the reverberation of what we call love. And through that, into neutrality, into this place of nothingness through which all things are possible, way beyond our imagination, even when our imagination is already off the grid. So I always stay open, Lisa, to be in that realm of my own mind and my own heart.
That's so good, because you're harnessing the love which emanates and permeates outward instead of the opposite of that, and therefore benefits all of us. Just like if we looked at our remote control for the TV, and let's just say, for purposes of this example, we have 100 channels. All 100 channels are accessible in that moment. And all those shows on each channel are playing out simultaneously. They would have to be, in order for us to access it in the now. This is what is happening in reality. Everything is playing out at the same time. So what someone's doing on the other side of the world is affecting all of us through the heart connection. So everything we do is important. Everything we feel, think, say, and do affects all of us. Not to say that we need to focus on all the channels or tune into them all at once. In fact, if we did, it would overwhelm us. So what we do on a daily basis is we tune into one channel, one immediate reality. We focus on our daily life, the people that surround us the most. We're not focusing on the war across the continent or the world. Yet it's still there in the interconnection between us all. It's accessible. It's almost like it's static out there, and it's affecting us.
And the choosing one channel, just to continue your example, that channel, the choice you make for that channel implies that you have made other choices for a quality of outlook and attitude and self-care within the everyday. And that's what connects us into the ripples of other access points, so to speak, right? So we choose the quality, we apply maturity, we live authentic all-inclusivity, et cetera, et cetera. We choose love over revenge. We make these choices that predispose us to the quality of our connection and how these things ripple. And we can't talk about connection and access and love, I can't at least, without highlighting the meditative mind, that place of silence, that place of pause and rest, even sometimes 2 seconds between every word that we speak. So it's an interconnectedness, like you said, Lisa. And I know that we're bringing in several things into one conversation right now. And maybe our focus in this conversation is on the suggestion and the reminder of interconnectedness, and that the miracle and the possibility of all things channels through, we facilitate, we invite the potential through a quality of daily living.
That's so important to invite. We can invite ourselves, to get back to the analogy of the remote control, as a collective, to tune into those channels that best serve us. And you know what happens when we do that as a collective?
What?
The channels that don't serve us fall away.
Exactly. The power of choice and the power and radiance of letting go helps us tune in directly and indirectly to the channels that are in harmony with each other. And in the previous conversation, Lisa, on the connections within the body, you highlighted this understanding of assuming perfection. That's a channel that is playing in the backdrop of your psyche. I'm talking you, speaking of you, because you demonstrate this and I watch it happen all the time in our walk in this life together, where when you are inherently tuned into that channel that says, all is perfect, all is aligned, I am already whole, I am already fully in love with myself and my dream for society, that this perfection is happening now, then you tune in simultaneously to the channel that says, I have my everyday tasks and I need to call my daughter and I need to pay my bills and so on and so forth. That's how I'm translating what you're saying today about picking one channel while the others that complement the quality of it are in the backdrop doing this dance together.
Ooh, I love that. It's like taking the love and allowing it to be the ingredient for everything we do and say.
Absolutely.
Again, if we take our resources, like we talked about in the previous segment, and vote with our pocketbook and tune into those channels that serve us, only tune into those, then no one's going to create the other channels. They're not going to produce them, the shows on those other channels, because no one's watching them.
That's how we create our reality to a great extent.
What we can do right now as a collective, as an individual, is rather than try to fix all the other channels, remember that we have the power to tune into those channels that we know will serve us to our highest and best good. And the more of us that do that, like I said a minute ago, the other channels will simply fall away with ease and grace. No destruction.
Yes, a choice not to tune in, a choice to forgive, a choice to ignore. All of these choices require discipline and effort, yet give immediate results. It's not as difficult as it might seem, no matter how complicated the chaos is in our world or in our personal lives, whatever those situations might be. The choice to tune in and the choice simultaneously to tune out creates amazing, incredible, phenomenal ripples that sometimes are predictable and expected when we make those choices, and a lot of times are surprising and miraculous in their nature.
Yet the human condition tempts us to tune into the conflict channels, the channels where we want to seek revenge against the people we blame for our own situation. And you hit upon this, what you just said, by forgiving, which really is letting go of the judgment, not blaming. Then that permits us to feel the freeing effect of not wanting to tune into that channel anymore.
So here's my summary. Wear a cap or a t-shirt or slap a sticker on the bumper of your car that says, forgive, love, stay open, and tune in.
I couldn't have summed it up any better.
And bring on the miracles and bring on the healings.